We're here today to talk about real estate.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name is Sierra Steinmetz.
Bryan Schube.
Kari Steele.
Bill Jones.
And we're the Jones Home Team.
And this is now episode 45. Right before we went on, we were talking about, 52's right around the corner. So we need to get something in line for that. That'll be a full year. I mean, most people don't make it, 4 or 5 episodes are almost a full year in here. So getting there. I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood. All right, today, my favorite topic apparently the last, months has been Compass and their war against the NAR and everything else that they got going on with Clear Cooperation. So I'm gonna jump quickly into that. Sierra's part 2 of her, what was it, not you? Innovation, yeah, sorry, the innovation I found a funky video for that then as well. Schube, we got commissions not falling off a cliff ever since August 17th. What changed with the rules, laws, things like that then too. I'm very curious to hear what he has on that. Kari's got I guess we're going to try to make it fun, right? Steering and real estate, however fun you can make that. And I want to kind of part 2 on teams versus solo agent, kind of today talk more about how that is in the real estate world. How does that affect us agents? Does it better be solo? Does it better be a team? But we'll go right into my man, Robert Repkin. Compass has changed things. Kari, you've already seen this article, not this one. So every week we go on Inman News, we go on Housing Wire, and it's like Compass this, Compass that. They filed lawsuits, they're doing all these things. Now they switch gears a little bit. So Compass agrees to share its exclusive listings with 2 caveats. You guys guess what those caveats are?
I couldn't get in the article. I forgot that the Inman's yours and not under mine.
Oh, yeah.
So. I started to read into it so that I could prepare for today, and I'm like, nope, I got nothing.
So just to recap what they've been doing is that they want to keep their private listings or have their exclusive listings on their website. They don't want Zillow monetizing it. They don't want them to show up there, and then Zillow fires back and says, well, if you're doing that, we're going to ban your listing. So no more listings on Zillow ever. If it's listed with this Compass agent, it doesn't exclusive, you're not seeing that. So of course Compass sues. But they, they're coming back daddy here. Zillow is the monster, and they kind of own the search industry, like we talked last week. At Zillow, Realtor.com seem to be kind of the big dogs in the industry. So they want to be on Zillow. But if I'm a seller, I want my home to show up on Zillow and Realtor.com. Compass, I'm sure has. I don't know. Again, not trying to bash on Compass. I love their company. I love what they do. But this is just, I think they're on the wrong side of it. I feel like they are, anyways. The way the chips are stacking up seems to be that way. So they changed the 2 caveats. So I kind of summarized this, or I should say ChatGPT summarized this article here for me. So Compass cracks open the vault with strings attached. As of July 11, 2025, Compass is offering a direct feed of its private exclusive listings to any brokerage or MLS with the caveat they do not alter or add data layers. So I'm not sure what that would be or why they would change any of that. And then more importantly, number 2, does not monetize or pass the feed onto a platform that does not, go back to the listing agent. Think lead selling in a portal. So Zillow puts that listing on there, they generate leads, they then sell it to us, dumb agents that are, too stupid to pay for it. But we do it. So, because that's the game, I guess. So that's our caveat. They don't want them altering it, which I don't know what they would alter.
I mean, would that be like how some listings, sometimes some of the data is wrong than what's on the MLS?
Sure.
Is that what they're talking about?
It's gotta be. Because I've got a 3-bed, 2-bath, and it's actually 1.5 bath, but it says 2.
Because a lot of times there are some instances
scrape.
where when Zillow does that data scrape, their info is incorrect compared to what it currently is.
So maybe I looked at so the AVM, client risk, days on market, market value. They don't want any of that stuff altered or changed or hidden. I don't know. So I guess it just needs to be a true MLS feed. But every website's different, so they all have their own things. So why now? Litigation heats up. Compass sued Zillow June 23rd, 2025, which was not that long ago, calling the portal's ban on certain private network listings an antitrust play. So that would be like if antitrust goes to monopolies, like when they made the monopoly rules back in the day to break up oil trusts and oil companies and things like that. But I don't think Zillow is the monopoly. I mean, there's Realtor.com, there's homes, there's everything. Right. So, I mean, they're a huge player. I think a lot of the traffic goes there, but that's their angle. So, opening the inventory while still blocking aided data sales model is a strategic counterpunch. So are they still bucking clear cooperation? Compass says participants must ensure their agents won't be fined or banned for sharing these listings. So again, a swipe at NAR's clear cooperation policy. And then contrast with Zillow stands, Zillow argues that hiding listings fragments the market and hurts buyers. Its policy blocks any feed that isn't publicly searchable. So again, they're blocking Compass's private listing thing. Compass offer keeps listings semi-walled but now shareable so long as no one profits from the data. So I guess the real fight isn't about, I think the real fight is control. I mean, really just control of what they're doing with it and monetization, so follow the money. So Compass wants exclusivity without third-party ads or referral fees. Zillow wants everything public with the right to sell the leads. And then the old NAR sits in the middle trying to placate everybody. And I don't think doing it very well because there seems to be a whole lot of fighting and a whole lot of nonsense with this. But so I don't know. I have no answers for any of this. I don't know what the right or wrong is. But I mean, we've talked about this 100 times as far as what they're doing and not doing, and I think it just goes to the money.
I was going to say profiting off of something that isn't yours.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah, I mean,
that's selling stuff back to the agents that did the work to get it in the first place. That's the part that upsets me as an agent is we're out there doing the work and then they're benefiting by selling it back to the agents.
Right. I think this
our own leads.
Yeah, the age-old argument with Zillow in general then is that then. I mean, ZillowRealtor.com, I mean, they all do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had the lead without me. Well, maybe, but maybe we would have.
Yeah.
Especially when it's coming from our own town.
Sure. But again, I guess kudos to them to
Period.
getting in front of all of us dumb agents and brokerages that aren't doing it. We're also busy about guarding our own little bit of the sandbox that the state doesn't want to do a full MLS and put that out there. If there was like a statewide MLS and it was user friendly and not some clunky, I don't know if you've ever shared the MLS actual feed with a client. There's no way in hell they're
gonna be able to navigate it.
No, they're going to Zillow, they're going to Realtor.com, something easy, sleek, an app they can put on their phone. So yeah, I guess bad on us for doing that, but smart on them for creating those portals and not. But again, they're using our data. We go out and take the pictures or hire it done, pay for it to be done, come up with the description, take the measurement, measure in the rooms, and they're using that data and making money off of it. But
the agent's guarding that the way that they did with their MLS. Oh no, I'm going to keep it in my community. I'm going to keep it in my community. Now, look what you did. You just turned over a platform to somebody else because you weren't willing to say, let's just all play together and figure out how we can make this work for us.
Yeah, everybody's worried about guarding their little, piece of the pie then, I guess. So, but I mean, it's the cards are dealt. They're on the table. This is the game we're playing now, so we got to deal with it. Compass, I guess, again, hats off for them to try to do something different or fight back, but
maybe they just like their name being in the news too.
Well, yeah, true. I mean, maybe any press is good press, I guess, but I mean,
this is genius marketing.
Maybe
Someone deserves a raise.
Getting sued, suing people, I guess.
I mean, but is the cost of getting sued less for what promotion, like she said, then?
But who knows? Maybe they're going to turn this around and be like, "Hey, look, consumer, we were fighting for you guys. No one else was doing it, but we were." I mean, who the heck knows? How they can spin it any way they want, I guess.
Well, look, we're sitting here talking about it. I mean, how many other people, like all the talking heads I listen to, everybody's ranting and raving about this. So yeah, maybe it is just a news ploy then. So.
What does I say, Sierra? Well-behaved women seldom make history.
Mm-hmm.
That's something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that, but yeah, you're probably right.
Can we get
Yes.
into?
Apparently, just sue Zillow and then you're in the news, so it all works out.
Or we just need some kittens, some cute little fuzzy kittens.
All right. Well, I wasn't planning on diving. I was trying to avoid any Compass talk here today, but that popped up in my news feed right away this morning, so I'm like, I guess we're talking about it. So, all right, Sierra, what are we into?
Okay, so we're gonna go into part 2 of the IY Innovators of the Year. This week we're going to talk about Terrence Nicholson and Gobi Homes, which he created. And I got a couple links to this article where I found their information and then also the Gobi Homes website. So essentially, again, this is all tech innovation that has been created that was awarded this past year. So going into Terrence and what he's got going on, I know we've all talked about this before, but we've all had a good number of deals fall apart, whether at our choice, whether at not our.
I don't ever want a deal to
result.
fall apart.
Yeah, whether we had anything anything that we could do about it regardless. And roughly 250,000 real estate deals fall apart every year.
250?
Yeah,
Wow.
250,000. And more than double that experience critical delays, whether that be miscommunication, an issue with an appraisal, blah, 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 all the things that we...
So when they say delay, probably just needed an extension,
Yes,
I'm assuming,
yep.
right?
Yep, and I know a lot of times with extensions for us, it's usually not that big of a deal, like maybe it's a week or so, and then we get them closed the next week, but sometimes that can really be a huge issue.
I already took off work.
Yeah.
All right, I had a guy the other day, went under contract this weekend. I'm going to schedule the utilities to get shut off. Like a month from now. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Yep. Or if you're like relocating, moving out of state, stuff like that.
Hiring a company.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of
They show
moving
up.
parts that can potentially go into it, especially if you're in a larger area, not just moving from one end of town to the other. You know. So, what did he do in hopes of finding a solution? Well, he noticed that a large majority of these deals that are falling apart suffer from a lack of communication between all of the parties, which there can be lots of parties involved between us, the client, the lender, title, everyone that goes into that. So his solution was a platform that connects and provides real-time collaboration opportunities between agents, clients, lenders, everyone I just named, all powered by AI. So it is not only designed for added visibility, structure, and alignment, but it reduces the risk for human error and blind spots in a transaction.
Is this like gobihomes.com? Okay.
Yep.
I've never even heard of this.
Essentially, what I was gathering, I don't have the program or anything like that, but what I was gathering from it is that it kind of guides you through every little teeny tiny bit and piece of a deal, so that there aren't things that you may forget that need taken care of, because sometimes we have a lot of moving parts, especially, I feel like VA deals are a big one, where you obviously always have to have the pest inspection, well test if it's out of town, whatever, but then on top of that, there's a lot of things that lenders need from buyers that are more behind the scenes, stuff like that, so you can kind of get ahead of it, stay ahead of it, and keep moving through the transaction a little bit more smoothly.
So you're plugging everybody.
Yes.
That sounds like, okay.
So essentially everyone can gather in one platform to keep an eye on the transaction as it goes by, which I think is really cool. I mean, we have certain things like that. There's a referral company that I work with. They have a whole app and we can connect through there, but that's just myself, the lender, and the buyer then.
Right.
But that kind of keeps track as you go through, and it's kind of like our lead platforms where you can see like new client, active client perspective, like all that kind of stuff. So this is basically just a whole conglomerate of all of those things put together so that everyone can resort back to the same place. So ultimately the goal was to improve the home buying or selling experience, but most specifically for the clients, because it's not always one person's fault if something is falling behind. Sometimes there's moving spots. So if you can help kind of, nudge somebody about something that maybe they're forgetting or not aware of that could be taken care of yet, and help things move a little more seamlessly, I think that is very beneficial for everyone involved, and most definitely the client at the end of the day.
I love it, and I'm sure most clients like over communication versus a lack of. And I've been guilty of that myself. You're busy, you're trying to keep the deal together, spinning all the plates, talking to all the people, but then you don't communicate that with your seller or buyer, so they are for a week or two like, what the hell's going on here? I've been working for you,
No checkup or
the no update update.
Yeah.
Just give an update, like we're just still waiting on whatever.
I know, especially because I feel like for us too, a lot of times like the saying goes, no news is good news, but I feel like for us, like no news definitely can be good news, or it can be like, oh, there's 4 dumpster fires.
We had one like that, right?
Yeah.
So
like
let me
trying
get
to
it
fix
figured out first,
Yeah.
and then I'll give you an update.
I don't want to just call you with a problem. Like, hey, there was a problem, but we've already got it handled too.
I would much
But you
rather
can't let that
way.
go for 2 weeks. So
Right, yeah.
Oh, by the way, 2 weeks ago, this thing's on fire, and I'm just letting you know now. So I can't, the name, I like it. Go buy home.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Gobi.
I keep going Gobi. I'm going to go with Gobi.
Because
Gobi
it's
Homes.
if it was go buy, I would think it would be B-U-Y.
Well, he's trying to be cute. Go buy.
Go buy
homes.
homes.
I like Gobi. Gobi Homes.
Go buy homes was already gone.
This is as close as I could get.
I like Gobi. But we'll talk about this with the team stuff. We already have a program almost exactly like this for our office.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But
not everyone.
No, and then plus if they could add those and have it one platform, sometimes if you get too many bells and whistles within one platform, it's overwhelming to try to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, if you don't have that checklist, or if you have it too many places, it's like you have your wall calendar, you've got your phone calendar, you've got your handwritten calendar, your wife's got one, you've got one. Like, how do you combine all of those in one place? Yeah.
And I don't know if they have an app for this or if it's only a web page, but if they have an app, what I envision, and if they don't have this, you're welcome for the idea.
Gobi.
If they have
timestamp,
right? If they have an app, I would imagine like sending the clients like push notifications through their phone. Congrats, this step of the process was just taken care of. Or
so they know.
Or here's where we're at X, whatever, so they can see it. And if they're still going to come to you and ask questions, that's totally fine. But at least they can kind of see in real time what needs to happen, where they're at, how much they have left to go, especially if it's their first time or they haven't bought or sold a home in a really long time. It's a lot different for everybody, so I feel like it's definitely helpful to be able to see it all the way through, and you can just look at a timeline then.
Well, those push integrations, like I think, or the push notifications, I think that would be great to integrate with that platform we currently have, where you're not going in and doing it, but if you're on the other one, it automatically notifies or somehow, syncs with that other program.
Yeah.
And you're not doing, because a lot of our work as agents is going into all these different places and like sharing or making sure it's up to date or making sure you've clicked on something.
Right.
That is very overwhelming.
Yeah.
It is a lot. Then when there's 14 places you got to log in, like you said.
Yeah.
So I found the breakdown, like even with the program we have then too, is almost not user error, but like just someone needs to check the box. Like, so it's not going to notify the seller that the appraisal's happening if
you check it.
If you don't go in there and say, check, appraisal's happening on the 25th.
Yeah.
And then the appraiser shows up. And a lot of times too, we text or do whatever, but I like this here, because if you go here and do it, hey, pictures are scheduled this date, the appraisal's happening this date, it notifies everybody that needs to be notified that.
But even better, wouldn't it be great if the appraiser did it and it integrated with all of our stuff?
Right.
Taking it back to the original, the lender, because I've seen that before. I think Rocket, Loan Depot, there was another smaller bank that had that checklist where it's like, okay, the underwriting has been done, this has been done, we're on step, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
If those would integrate with our other technology.
But again, someone needs to go in there and check the box, and I think everybody needs a system, and we probably need to work on that as a team, like, because we do have a good program that does a lot of this already, so if we implemented this better and, brought in our administrator, kind of get everybody on the same board, who's responsible for what, I think, ultimately it'd make the user experience a lot better. But no more, 2-week dumpster fire.
2-week dumpster fire.
Sorry, Old Deal's been a hell of a handbasket. Sorry about that. All right, cool. So then the pricing's not too bad. It's $25 per deal. The more you do, it looks like the cheaper it is. I wonder if you have to buy all these up front then too, probably. It's probably not an insignificant cost right away. See, what we need to do, we need to be smart podcasters. We need an affiliate link. So, Sierra, you're talking about it. Hey, guys, go sign up for Gobi Homes. And
coming year 2, because we're just finishing up year 1. We're learning.
Yeah.
We don't even know how to pronounce the website, but please go sign up. So. All right,
let's start somewhere.
You good there, Sierra?
Yep,
I like
I
that.
think that's good. Mr. Terrence Nicholson, nice work.
Good job, Terrence. All right, so Schube, or who are we going to next?
Yeah, Schube.
Yeah, I know that. So I just wanted to talk about, obviously, I think it's coming up on almost a year now here with the lawsuit and how things kind of have changed. So I just wanted to talk about real estate commissions on both the buying and the listing side, and the article kind of referencing here.
Try to pull it up here.
Yeah, things are not falling off the cliff like a lot, like people had thought.
So real estate's now free, right? You can get a free agent. Nobody's paying a commission anywhere.
So just some quick facts then from what the article had said. So buyer agent commissions remain largely steady. So buyer agent commissions averaged 2.4% in Q1 of 2025, up slightly from, it went up slightly from 2.37% in Q4 of 2024. So it actually went up a little bit.
So this is talking on the buy side?
Yes,
okay,
this is buy side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
in
Q1 of 2024, actually, it was 2.44. So it went down a little bit from Q1 of 2024. However, it went up from Q4 of 2024.
I'm so scared to ask to get paid.
I know.
How do we do this? Yeah, I don't seem like a crook or So the whole crux of this was more conversations, more negotiation, more whatever. We're going to save everybody money, right?
Yep.
So, I don't
Which I know, I mean, locally here, I'd say a lot of us are getting significantly more than what we used to on the buy side from what we
Yeah.
what we were
say
getting.
that. I mean, it's like hit and miss. Sometimes it just is the same as it always was, that 2.4, 2.5 or whatever. But I've definitely had a few more that were up towards that 3%, which usually it would be different areas outside of our normal area that you'd be getting 3% on the buy side. But I've definitely had a little bit more of that since this has all happened. Which
Yep.
is kinda nice.
So to be clear, NAR, we're not advocating for any specific rate or
Yeah,
whatever. That's just
no,
a,
it's
it could be
just
any number. It
in
could be-
general.
It really does vary though, and I've seen that too, where, you know, we've had deals where that's been 3 or over, just because if the buyer, especially with multiple offer situations, if the buyer comes in and the buyer's agent is working really hard for their client or also willing to negotiate. I've seen it go both ways.
Yeah.
I've seen it go where they lower the rate thinking it's going to help
I was
them.
gonna say I've done that.
And I've
I
also
just did
seen,
it this weekend.
Yeah.
and I've also seen the opposing where the seller's like, oh my gosh, let's just give them the higher so that they're willing to wait for whatever. If it's,
Sure.
you know, an extension for a showing, or if they're waiting to, you know, see what other offers are coming to the table, let's just give that agent 3% in hopes that they'll, you know, talk their client off the cliff.
Right.
Hang in there.
Which has to
you know.
happen, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of times,
Yeah.
you know, you really, I feel for a million years, not a million, probably decades, buyer agents were just kind of getting the shaft with how that worked.
And they work so hard.
Yeah.
And they work so much for free, buyer's agents driving and not getting paid for the work that they're doing.
Absolutely.
For any of it.
I
For the
remember-
researching and the driving and the,
I remember when
It's
I
so
first started and when I first understood how, like, generally before this all happened, usually it would be kind of more of a 60-40 split between the listing agent and the buyer's agent when it came to commission. And I did my first listing and I was like, so you get paid more, but I feel like it's a lot less work.
Yeah.
Kind of just
It's
sit
just
there.
different work.
Yeah,
It's
different
just
work.
It's
yeah.
different. Yeah, you're just not driving around at 5 p.m. trying to get 7 showings in before it's dark. Instead, you've got the connection of being able to list someone's home and whatever, and they're
Right.
trusting you to do that. So yeah, it's definitely very different work, but it feels a lot less. You're physically doing a little less.
Yeah, you're not driving all over,
yeah,
you know,
mentally
God's green
it's
earth.
Mentally,
Yeah.
yeah.
not
Yeah.
as great. But.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think they both have expenses, you know, the list
Uh-huh.
side, you have all the marketing expenses, pictures, stuff like that, you know, the time and effort doing that up front. On the buy side, yeah, you're putting miles on your car, you're giving up
Sweat
nights,
equity.
weekends. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more work than two, so I think they both have expense, they both have a lot of work, but
Yeah.
Which we've also seen a lot more deals where sellers are, you know, willing to do some, and then buyers actually wind up picking up some of that other cost as
Yeah.
well.
or all of it. I mean, we've only had a handful of those, I think, and I haven't heard of too many where the buyer's doing that, but, you know, but I think a lot of times too, they see, you have a conversation up front, you know, how this is gonna work, I'll try to get it included. But if not, a lot of times I think they see your value. I've been all over the place, I've been looking for things, opening doors, I've written 5 offers for you. So, yeah, I remember from some listing side of it, the seller, I don't feel like the buyer's agent even does anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, will they just show up and write an offer? Yeah, this might be the 14th offer they've written
Right.
and
Yeah.
brought that buyer to you finally. That buyer's ready to give up 6 months ago, and now here they are trying to buy your house.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, maybe.
And on the agent side, you know, you're just getting ready to take a bite of food with your family, and then all of a sudden, ping, oh my gosh, it's time, this might be the one.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
get up from dinner and you get everything situated, and you come back to a cold dinner, and you've just served them, and that house didn't work out, so you're back to square one.
Right,
Yep.
right.
And they don't see that.
And where does that ping? They go immediately to compass.com, right? Look for the only house. No, sorry, Hard, I'll quit.
Couple other things from that article then. So, in which a lot of this data comes from a study that Redfin did. So, commission trends vary by price tier. So, homes over $1 million commission rates have dropped compared to a year ago, whereas homes under $500,000 have actually increased from I want to say over a year ago then.
So we don't have a lot of million plus to
Yeah.
go off of in our market.
Yeah. And then sellers are generally not pushing back on commissions. So 45.9% of sellers didn't negotiate commission rates. And buyers are even less likely to try to haggle with an agent over the commission rate then.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I've seen that on several deals. I've told you guys the story, I'm sure, but the one deal I had with like the forensic accountant guy or whatever, he did,
Yeah.
like the numbers guy. he's beat me up on the list side commission. I'm not paying jack on the buy side. I'm like, we'll call him Bob, but like, that's probably what's going to happen. You're going to bring a buyer. Let's look at the net dollar. You're an accountant, right? Like you want to look at the bottom line. Doesn't matter what all the noise is up top. Let's look at your bottom dollar. Obviously, we'll keep our costs in line as much as we can up top here, but the number you're going to be happy with is this. We brought him an offer that was way higher than the number he was going to be happy with. And he's still like, well, that commission's too much. I'm like, Bob, I'm like, you're getting way more than what you thought you were going to get. And you're happy with that, right? And again, I think this was the guy like, I don't think buyer's agents do much. I'm like, I know for a fact this guy that's trying to buy your house has been trying to buy a home for almost 2.5 years. So I know the situation. Like, so you can't tell me somebody hasn't busted their hump to try to get this guy into a house. He's now written you a fantastic offer. So if anybody wasn't going to come off of it, it would have been that guy, but he did. And to this earlier point, was a higher commission than what it would have been back in the day, significantly higher than what that 60-40 split would have been. So yeah, it worked out good for everybody. I mean, he got his home sold, the buyer got a house they really wanted, he got more money than he wanted. Not more money than he wanted, I'm sure he wanted all the money he could get, but more money than he would have been happy with. So I don't know how that didn't work out for everybody in the end.
Yeah.
But still, to NAR, it still was a higher commission at the end of the day than had it been prior to August 17th.
Right.
So it cost somebody more money. That's just the way that shook out.
And then just a couple of so the selling agent side, like I had said, or the rates for the seller's agents are still remaining stable. And then new Federal Reserve study tracked long-term patterns from the 1990s to 2020 and found no evidence that buyer agreement mandates caused commission drops. Declines were gradual. They were roughly 3% down to 2.7%, and that's linked to several factors like higher home prices and tech efficiency. Since the NAR settlement in August of 2024, commissions have persisted at relatively high levels. So,
all right. I was just saying we're paid too much. Is that what they're saying? High levels.
Yes.
I would just say
High levels.
yes. Not what would be the right word? I don't know.
Appropriate.
Appropriate. Thank you. Appropriate levels.
Wasn't it high levels?
Wasn't high levels?
She says passive aggressively.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not in Colorado.
So that's like something too, to where I think it kind of goes in line with everything else. What is cheaper today than what it was 2, 3, 5 years ago? Nothing. Absolutely nothing is cheaper. Everything's more expensive. So I don't know why us agents, we're not working. I feel like we're working harder today than we did years ago. So you should just take less, Bryan. Your levels are too high. All right. That would be good there?
Yep.
I will be very curious. I can't wait till August 17th or 16th, whatever the full year would be, 2025. So we can look at, I know we can look at our numbers for our brokerage, what were commissions 2022, 23, 24, now this year after this lawsuit and settlement then. I'm willing to bet it's more for sure, not less. So
I feel like on that same point real quick, when this all happened, we were kind of in such a gray area for so long with exactly how we needed to explain what was going on, because we fully didn't really understand what was going on for the longest time, because it took so long for them to reach a settlement and then let out all the new rules and stuff.
It is.
And
it's not.
Yeah, and so then we, at least me personally, had a lot of anxiety going into that buyer's agency conversation.
I think everybody did.
Yes, everyone was just like,
how do you approach it? Yeah.
Here's
we even queued up for months. I mean, 6 months before that?
Yes.
So you can imagine the agents that
had no idea, totally blindsided.
Even after it happened, didn't have any clue it was happening, or their broker maybe sent them an email. Oh, by the way, you got to do this form now.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I feel like when that all first went down, it was very scary because you just didn't know how people were going to react. You also had to make sure that you were fully grasping what you were explaining to them, because it makes a ton of sense, but it didn't really make sense how to break it down like that. And now I feel like I have way less anxiety going into that conversation of, so I'm gonna ask you to pay me this, but maybe you won't have to pay me.
But maybe you won't have to pay me.
We never met, but I'm gonna cost you thousands of dollars possibly. Is that okay?
Potentially. Hopefully that's fine.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of stabilized a lot since that all happened, thankfully, and it wasn't as much of a dumpster fire as we thought it was going to be. I think a lot of people were like, oh great, we're
it's
out of
a blessing
jobs.
in disguise, I think, because it really does take those buyers that are just kicking tires and because they see that and they're like, oh, if they are truly looking They're willing to sit down, like
Right.
you said, talk to a dentist, go to the dentist, talk to an attorney, go to the doctor. You're paying all those professionals, so why would real estate be any different? So.
Yeah, it's not like you can go try out 4 or 5 dentists and be like, I'll pay this one.
Yeah,
Look, it was
right.
just,
Right.
yeah, the big change then. All right, cool. Kari, what are we into?
Steering in real estate. So steering is the illegal practice of influencing a home buyer's decision about where to live based on their race and other protected class. It's a violation of the Fair Housing Act, and part of all of our.
Nope, your mic.
Did I lose? Am
There you
I
go.
lost? My wire maybe
You're good.
is. How's that? Agents have to take continued education, and we expose ourselves to different types of
Fair housing,
fair
ethics,
housing,
all that
law,
stuff, yeah.
ethics. So fair housing is a big one, and I feel like in our area there's a lot of fair housing continued education opportunities. So I've taken quite a few of those, and a lot of it is repetitive in nature, and that really just beats into your brain that if you have a preconceived notion of what you think somebody's looking for in a house, you have to erase that before you go look at any properties. And that's hard because as humans, we've got our preset, determinations of what we think, societal norms should be, but you can't do that in real estate.
Innocent as, they've got 3 or 4 kids and 3 dogs. Well, they're definitely going to want a yard
big
or whatever.
house with a yard.
Yeah, you got to find out what they really want.
Yeah. And so the argument is, how do you educate, just like Bill said, how do you educate your buyers specifically on what they're looking for is one thing, but how do you educate them on if they're looking for the best return on investment, or they're looking for the best school, or they're looking for the best neighborhood? You can't really ethically do that if you're following fair housing, but there are some ways. So first, I guess I'll go back to what constitutes a steering, legal and ethical ways to approach the home buying process. So you can prioritize a buyer's stated preferences. So checking to make sure that even if you are looking at a desired area, you wouldn't discuss that with them, but you would make sure that the area has the features and amenities that they're looking for.
Right.
So if they're looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, regardless of where it's at, that the house that you're going to show them has those things, and you're not just putting them there because, you're a senior and this is a senior community and I think you'll like it here. But you're really looking at, these are the things you're asking for in a home. You're looking for a quiet park-like neighborhood. You're looking for 2 bedrooms, 1 bathrooms with first floor living. You're looking for, these things that you're telling me are going to match up with, it just so happens to be an older neighborhood.
Sure.
And it just so happens to meet the criteria that you're looking for.
Just not making the assumption they need to go to the old folks gated community.
Yeah.
Sunny
Farms Retirement Village or something. Provide comprehensive and unbiased information. And, that's hard because, again, we all have, preconceived notions of what we think based on where we live. And, I can speak to that because I grew up in a certain area of town. Sierra grew up in a certain area of town. And we both have different ideas of that just based on what it was like when we lived here, And so, and then I think about that and how it transfers to fair housing.
That would be like, I guess anyone here, and anywhere else it makes. I grew up on the north side of town, so further north of us, I guess used to be kind of like, someone living in the avenues. Oh man, that's bad. You don't want to be there, but I don't think anymore. I think, were you and I just talking about this? Mm-hmm. Someone that was looking there, and we had the conception that maybe that wasn't a great place to be, but anymore, it's
just
fine.
like gross,
Which there was nothing wrong with it then either.
No.
I don't. It's just like here in Tiffin, everybody seems to want the south end of town.
Well, and one thing I can speak to that in our town specifically is, and I think I've talked about another podcast, is they used to have schools. So there was 5 elementary schools.
Oh, the local schools?
Yeah, the school districts made up, what's the elementary school? It's this one? We'd rather be in this one.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say which they are, but people would have that preconceived notion if it's this one. Well, I'll just say Clinton. You automatically knew that the house was probably rural because Clinton was out in the country. So if you said, it's in Clinton, that might be,
That's where all them rich farmers are. Let's send them out there.
Or just if you're looking for rural versus if you're looking for something that's right smack dab in the middle of town, you know where I'm at. Yeah. So then going back to, I had a cute little YouTube skit, and it was basically about, you have limited information as a real estate, you have a lot of information.
Just this short here?
Yeah, you have a lot of information about what you're allowed to say, but when it comes to fair housing, there's a limited amount, and again, going back to what are they
Right.
looking for, and making sure that that house meets that criteria.
So and this is just a skit. These guys are trying to be funny, taking things
Yeah.
to the extreme for sure. So don't hold any of this against us. We
But
didn't
this
create it, we
is
didn't do
but
anything
this is
with
the
it.
kind of video that will be shown in one of our CE, just to
Yes.
to constitute a playful, cheerful attitude about what we are and aren't allowed to do as
Sure.
agents.
All right.
All right, man. Thank you. Yeah. Man, isn't it good? Yeah, it's nice, man, but give me some real. It's a good neighborhood based on fair housing law. I can't really speak on neighborhood. All right, crime stats. Okay, I can say there's a great school around the corner. Okay. Good police department. Okay. So this is the house. All right, let's take a look. Oh, hey! So this is a good neighborhood. I mean, it's a beautiful house. We in the trenches. I gotta do your house you want to see.
So he says, I have to show you every house that you want to see. Is it in a good neighborhood? So it's been controversial on whether or not you can send somebody to another third party because they're like, oh, you're not practicing fair housing, but in a sense you are practicing fair housing. So if somebody wants to know if something is in a good neighborhood, you could look at this crime stats. So I think we talked about this before. When I'm traveling and I'm in a big area or a tropical location, I say, oh, I wonder what the houses are like here.
Yeah.
You look it up, it's 229,000. Oh, that's amazing. It's right on the coast. I wonder what the crime's like here. You go to spotcrime.com and then boom, boom, boom. There's all these things, assault, fire, all the, okay. All right, maybe I'll keep looking.
Maybe I'm not moving there.
Yeah.
So that's all we can do as agents is direct people to go to public
The houses-
resources, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and look for yourself, so.
And the houses that they're looking for in their price point might not fall in the best neighborhoods, but
Right.
you have to show them what they think they want
Right.
to, to get them where they want to be. Yes.
So you just need to give them the options. Again, it
Yeah.
always goes back to the client. We provide the information, they make the decision.
Yep.
So that should be across the board with every brokerage, every real estate agent. It's not up to us to decide
No.
how you want to proceed or what you want to do, or in this case, look at a house.
What would you do, Bill?
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
like
Oh, all
every
the
show,
time. Yeah, all the time.
Like, would you buy this house?
Yeah. Same thing with price.
Pricing.
How much should I
Yes.
offer? Like you think that my throwaway line is it's too easy for me to spend your money.
Yep.
That it's too easy for me to spend your money. Like so, if you're I can show you price per square foot on average, and other comps and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's 6 other offers on the house already, so I don't know.
Yeah, you better bring your pocketbook.
A-game. Yeah, so then you need to completely overpay. But yeah, we get that all the time. What would you pay? Or
Yeah.
yeah, the market's still just tough with that. So all right, so to kind of wrap up on this, I guess would be I always use the example like we don't have like a if you're in a big city, just a cliche thing like New York has like Chinatown or something
Right,
like that.
yeah.
So if you're working with a family from China, what they don't want you to do is as an agent say, oh, well, this family from China, they must want to live in Chinatown.
Yeah.
Like that's not how it works.
Like they came to New York to get away from
Yeah,
that.
so just don't make that assumption. And we're just rural America. I mean, we don't have a lot of
Yeah.
those different areas, I
Right,
guess. But yeah, so
right.
just don't be an idiot and make assumptions that somebody, because of their ethnicity, race, sex, religion, they want to live somewhere in particular.
Not to keep spinning this podcast, but one of the things that I was blown away with was if somebody's in a wheelchair and they want to see a second story apartment, you still show it to them.
Right. Well, 'cause
Even if they don't have an elevator,
Right.
because they could still do the stairs, they just don't use the stairs as their date.
Sure. Or they can make accommodations to make it work, or
Right.
anything. So yeah,
Yeah.
just you present the options, unless they say, do not show me a second story,
Right.
or whatever. In that
Right,
case, then I'm not
yeah.
going to send you that. And then they're going to end up go buy a second story
It's
with
like,
somebody else
I know,
anyways.
I know.
You know what's going to happen, but
Why didn't you send this one to me?
Yeah, I
It's
just went and bought it with
so
somebody
right.
else because you didn't show it to
So
me.
right.
So, all right, we good there?
Yeah.
So I guess I go back to just the golden rules. Just be nice, do the right thing. You know, what I mean, treat people like you'd like to be treated, and you should be fine.
Yeah.
So like all the license law stuff, as long as you're not trying to be a criminal or a dirtbag, you should be
Yeah.
fine. So you don't need to know the exact 4402 law
I know.
about whatever section.
But it's so,
12A.
I'm telling you, with that
Yeah.
stupid lawsuit, it makes every single agent be like, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Because
Right.
everything you
Even
do
though
is
you've
being-
never done anything wrong.
No, I know. You just feel guilty.
Just do the right thing. So, all right, quick stats here. We'll wrap this up here then too. So we'll spend just a little bit of time on it. So the teams versus solo. So for you guys, what percentage of realtors now work on a team?
26%.
26%.
Jerk. He's looking at the answers.
It's
Yes.
right there.
You got it right in front of you here. So okay, fine. We won't ask trivia questions. Very good, Brian. A plus.
I would have thought it was higher though.
I probably would have too.
I thought it would have
Yeah.
probably would have been like high 30s or 40% maybe.
One, again, me just being a lazy researcher and going to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to know the stats. So I don't know that this is 100% correct, but it did give an NAR website then. So Bryan, how many teams grew their closed deal count by 405%?
How many teams?
Yeah, how many teams?
250.
Oh, good.
You're so smart.
You are very smart.
You really
So, yeah.
studied for
Yeah,
this.
250 teams grew their closed deal count by 405% from 11 to 22. So top solo agents just grew by 14%. So 405% versus 14% is pretty. Well, I guess if you went from doing one deal to 5 deals, that's a 400% increase probably, right? So that might be part of it.
Yeah.
Agent sentiment. 85% say a team gives them a competitive edge, and 77% call the experience positive. So
What about the other 27%?
yeah, the other 23 hate life. This is
I don't
horrible.
like being on a team. Boo.
I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here. And then splits with teams, generally 50-50 on the commission side then too. So I just got, when you guys are on a team, kind of get your thoughts on, you guys haven't really worked as solo agents, I guess so either necessarily. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to give a complete perspective. But hey, your experience working with other solo agents versus team agents and things like that, or
I feel like also day to day, a lot of times I feel like when we're with clients specifically, we feel more like solo agents, but then when we come back to the office or whatever we're doing and more of the behind the scenes work that we do, we're all collaborating in the office together, not specifically on that deal and the paperwork and the details or whatever, but we're all able to just go into discussions together or just talk through ideas and whatever that might look like. So I feel like we get a little bit of a taste of both, but for the most part, we're supported 100% of the time by teammates. So.
right.
We see the other agents that are working independently, and I think it's just a personal preference. And especially when you're first getting started, I think a team really makes sense. 10 years, 15, 20 years worth of experience before you know.
Right.
I just feel like you're depending upon who your team leader is, because
Sure.
I really have to put it out there to you and to Bryan, because I wouldn't be where I was without you guys kind of
Sure.
showing me the way.
Yeah, not
if you
to
would have
butter
just,
them up, but saying,
I'm just
Right.
saying, like.
Well, because Bryan's in the 23% that hates it, so it's fine.
and that's because of us.
So. Yeah.
You didn't choose the gangster life. The gangster life chose you.
Yeah,
No, but honestly, yeah, that I still to this day can't imagine going through my first year without having a mentor in Bryan. I would have been messing everything up, completely
Right.
clueless. Poor guy would have to review my offers and stuff before I would send them for signatures and be like, okay, well, you need to fix this and that and this and
It's
that.
all wrong, Sierra. Start over. I'm gonna redo it for you and send it to you. So.
And sometimes I
create a new loop and redo it.
Yeah.
I think every now and then he was like, I think it would just be faster if I fix it this way.
Which that goes to, like him and I have talked several times. It's easier just to do it, but it's like the old cliche: teach them, give them a fish, or teach them how to fish. So if you're just gonna give them a fish, you're always gonna do that then. So
Yeah.
And then also buttering up our admin, because we have Tara in our office, and I feel like a lot of companies don't have, an admin that's knowledgeable and willing to, work around the clock
Have
to
the drive
answer
that
questions
she
and have
does.
the drive, and the understanding. Because just because she's not an agent doesn't mean she doesn't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And keeping us compliant with our forms and everything.
Which, yeah, kudos to her, because there's a lot of other brokerages that do have a secretary or admin or something, but that's all they're worried about is just making
Taking
sure,
checks
just doing the clerical stuff then
Yeah.
too, where if you have somebody that's actually almost more of a transaction coordinator, making sure everything's in place.
She wears many hats.
She does, yeah. Eyes are
She's
dotted,
the
T's are crossed.
backbone.
Yeah. Which again, for good, I know some of the agents get like just frustrated, like, oh my gosh, Tara's on my case
It's so
again, or
much.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's to keep everybody on the straight and narrow. Make sure you
Yeah.
got your ducks in a row and the deal's getting done in a timely fashion. So.
Because some of us don't have ducks. There's squirrels and they're everywhere,
Yeah,
right?
they're
Like,
everywhere,
season.
exactly. I guess my experience previous with as a solo agent was just kind of what you were talking about, Sierra. There was just no, maybe it was just with the wrong brokerages. There was just no camaraderie. There was nobody to bounce ideas off of. If you needed to, you had to schedule a time to talk to the broker. I remember the one company was just terrible. Like I had a deal in progress. I had to email them, hey, I have a question, whatever. 2 days later, I get like a Calendly link, schedule a Calendly thing. 2-3 days later, I get to finally get on the phone with the guy, and I'm like,
Oh, gosh.
that deal blew up a week ago, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's over. I don't know what we're gonna do with that. So.
And I think too, having the 2 offices between here and Findlay, I think that gives us competitive advantage because all of our agents work together, even that we're not on the team.
Right.
We all have that camaraderie that you just feel comfortable being able. You don't feel like you're on somebody else's turf. Like
Right.
they can come here, we can go there, and it just feels very warm and welcoming at both places.
Absolutely.
Plug.
Well, yeah, there you go. So, yeah, we're not trying to sell our team. That's I'm just
It's easy to
generalize
sell
that.
it though because
You were awesome.
Right. Yeah. And we're selective. That I guess just from our team then too. I mean, we have had quite a few other people that reach out or want to do that, and we're like, no, we're gonna keep our team. So that's because I mean that changes the whole dynamic when you bring other people in and things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, again, there's plenty of sole agents that do great. I think some of those though too do still kind of have help or people around them. So I mean, I think the true solo agent is just you're your own person. You're doing all your things. Where some of them do have someone they hire other people, or they have an administrator, or they have someone that helps them, or another agents that kind of team with them. They're a team, but not really a team, a declared team. So I don't know. This whole industry is kind of crazy. I don't know how you go forward, especially again with all the AI stuff and everything like that. I think you really have to keep up with everything. So I feel like we have an advantage. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say too, because I know you specifically and you are pretty good about keeping up with all of the technological updates and all the newer, but like the new
We try, at
things
least.
that people are doing,
At least we're looking
whatever.
at it.
You are very much on top of it, and also spreading that information between us, because I am the least tech savvy 23-year-old you've ever met. And so it's nice to kind of have another, like not only have you been doing this for so long, so long,
Dinosaur long, yes.
but you are so in the know about everything as this is a dynamic industry, and
Right.
that's super helpful coming from someone that I don't even know where you find half the stuff that you do.
I don't either. I have no idea. I'm a dork. I guess I'm always looking at
I
stuff.
would say
But
you eat, sleep, and breathe real estate.
I do,
think
yeah.
that-
I like it a lot. Well, I guess being in the trenches, I'm sure. I mean, I was just showing houses this weekend, and I'm still writing an offer. I'm still doing all that stuff to where a lot of other brokers or team leaders probably aren't anywhere close to that. I don't know. I haven't written an offer in 2 years.
So I think that translates to us because of his motivation. Then we come in inspired and motivated.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Well, I think that's a fantastic point of being around other productive people. Where, like,
Yes.
if you go into an office and nobody's there, you never go to the office and you never see anyone else hustling or.
Like, oh, the industry's down, everything sucks,
Yeah,
we're not
everything
making any
sucks,
money,
yeah, I'm
or
on an
there's
island.
nothing happening.
Yeah. Or as much as as cheesy as it is, sometimes we are really good about being like, "Good job, that's so amazing," or like, "You'll figure it out, everything is gonna be fine."
Yeah.
Like we're like talking to toddlers to each other.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes we just need that reinforcement
Right.
that like you are doing well. Just today is not a good day, and that's fine.
And
We
I
are a
think too-
source for venting.
Yeah.
The wins and the losses both. Like I feel like I've been
Yes.
I've purposely been putting in some of my utter losses, eating glass stuff here just in our channel, just so you guys can see it happens to everybody. Like so I've been getting
Yeah.
my face kicked in more than I've been succeeding on some of these. But I mean it happens to everybody. So and you see these agents on wherever they're just winning. They're whatever Donald Trump is winning at everything. Like that's not like I'm sure
It
there's
comes
like
in waves though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you're up and then boom, you're down, you're crashed, and then you're like, woe is me, what's going on? Why do
Right.
this suck?
I need a mood
And
swing.
then you're up, and then so that's just real estate.
this is a roller coaster. So.
But it does help when you can celebrate other people's wins around you too. I feel like
For
all of us
sure.
want everyone to succeed, so it helps when maybe it's not your day or week or month, but like shoot, you just closed one that he's been working on for how long?
Let's
Whatever.
go.
We've been there through all the woes.
And you
of it with
too.
it, like just trying to do that and.
I was so happy for you when you closed that one on 6. Like, oh
my gosh,
that went on
yes.
for like forever. So
Yeah, I felt like he deserved like a standing ovation. I felt like I accomplished something when that closed.
right. And we were all able to commiserate with that,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
good and the bad with it then too. So, all right. Okay, so to be clear, on episode 52, I'm not wearing makeup.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
so.
yes, you are.
Thank
We're gonna look so
I
good.
will be wearing makeup.
I will not be wearing
Full
makeup.
drag, I heard.
Oh no.
All right, that is episode 45. We talked plenty long, a lot to cover there.
This was our quick episode.
Yeah, quick episode that went real long there. So check back episode 46, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We'll see you next time.